So people often ask me what advice I have for living a better life. And, you know, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I've learned a few things that might be useful. Some of it might seem obvious, some of it might seem counterintuitive. But I'll just share what I found to be true, at least in my experience. First off, I think the most important thing is to think from first principles. That's really how I try to approach everything. Don't just follow what other people are doing. Don't base decisions on analogy or convention. Ask yourself, what are the fundamental truths of the thing you're trying to solve? What are the raw materials? What are the laws of physics involved? And then reason up from there. That applies to everything. I mean, not just rocket science. You can apply first principles to your daily habits, your job, your goals. Most people operate by copying what's already out there, and that's fine in some cases. But if you want to really innovate or just improve your own life, you have to challenge the assumptions. Question everything, break it down to the fundamentals, and rebuild your understanding. And yeah, I work a lot. That's no secret. I used to sleep on the floor of the Tesla factory. I've pulled 100-hour weeks for years, and people say that's not healthy. Maybe it's not. But I think if you're trying to do something really important, you should work like it matters, because it does. If other people are putting in 40 hours and you're putting in 80 or 100, even if you're doing the same thing, you'll achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to do. It's just math. You outwork them. But it's not about grinding for no reason. You have to really care about what you're doing. I'm emotionally invested in my work in Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, all of it. You've got to love what you're building. Otherwise, it won't be sustainable. Something I've always believed in is being useful. Like, if you're trying to figure out what to do with your life, just ask, how can I be useful? Not just to yourself, to society, to the future. You don't need to be a billionaire. You don't need to start a company. Just solve problems, make things better. I mean, ultimately, that's what it's all about. Making the future better than the past, creating value, being of service. And that brings me to learning. I didn't go to aerospace school. I read books. I talk to people. I tried to understand the principles behind rocket propulsion, orbital mechanics, materials, science. I taught myself because I had to. Most people underestimate their ability to learn, seriously. They sell themselves short, but if you're curious, if you're hungry to learn, you can pick up almost anything. You don't need a degree to be educated. You just need the internet, some books, and a willingness to struggle through it. Also, ignore the noise. There's so much noise out there. Critics, trolls, people saying, you can't do that, or that's impossible. I've had people bet against me since day one. When I started Tesla, people thought electric cars were stupid. When I started SpaceX, people laughed. A private rocket company, it'll never work. But if something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. You'll get criticized, sometimes harshly, sometimes unfairly. But you can't let that stop you. You have to stay focused, stay on mission, tune out the static, and concentrate on what you know matters. Don't just chase money. That's not the goal. At least not if you want meaning. You can make a lot of money doing things that don't matter. But real fulfillment comes from solving hard problems, from helping humanity, from doing something that, moves the needle. Every company I've started, whether it was PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, was built to solve a meaningful problem, not just to make a buck. Making money is a consequence, not the purpose. If you build something valuable, the money follows, not the other way around. And look, if you're young, take risks. Seriously, that's the best time. When you're older, you've got a family, obligations, a mortgage. It's harder to go all in on a crazy idea. But when you're 22 or 25 or even 30, what's the worst that can happen? You fail, you learn, you try again. That's how progress works. Most people are way more afraid of failure than they should be. But failure is just part of the process. I've failed plenty of times. Rockets exploded, prototypes broke. We were days from bankruptcy at Tesla more than once, but we kept going, we learned, we got better. And finally, and maybe this is the most important thing, be optimistic about the future. There's a lot of negativity in the world, a lot of cynicism, but I believe we can solve the big problems. I believe humanity can do amazing things. We can get to Mars. We can build clean energy systems. We can connect the planet, cure disease, build a future that's not just survivable, but inspiring. I think we need that. We need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. A future that feels like it's worth being excited about, because without that, what's the point? So, yeah, if I had to sum it up, think deeply, question everything, work hard, learn constantly, be useful, ignore the noise, take risks, and believe in the future. That's not a guarantee of success, but it's a damn good way to live. Another thing I think is important, maybe critical, is how you view failure. People are so scared of failing. It's like this thing we're trained to avoid at all costs, but that's totally backwards. Failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is. Failure is actually how you learn. I mean, look, when we launched the first few Falcon 1 rockets, they failed. One of them literally exploded mid-flight. We burned through all our money. Investors bailed. Everyone said, well, that's it for SpaceX. But we took what we learned, we fixed it, and we succeeded on the fourth launch. That launch put us on the map. If we had been afraid to fail, if we quit after one or two failures, SpaceX wouldn't exist. Neither would Tesla or Neuralink or pretty much anything worthwhile. So yeah, you want to fail forward, fail fast, learn faster. Every failure is data. Every mistake brings you closer to the right answer, as long as you stay focused and iterate. I'd also say try to surround yourself with people who give you honest feedback. It's really easy to end up in a bubble where everyone agrees with you or where nobody wants to hurt your feelings. But that's not helpful. You need people around you who will challenge your thinking, people who will tell you when something sucks respectfully. But honestly, you don't improve by being told everything's great. You improve by hearing what's wrong and then fixing it. That's something I learned early on at Zip2 and PayPal. There were a lot of people smarter than me in the room, and I made a point to listen. That doesn't mean you always agree, but you always listen. And when it comes to relationships, whether it's business, friendship, or personal, I think alignment of values matters more than anything. If you're working with people who are in it for the wrong reasons, or don't share your mission, it's going to fall apart eventually. A lot of people think success is just about skills or IQ, but honestly, emotional resilience and character matter just as much. Can you stay focused under pressure? Can you stay kind when things go wrong? Can you treat people well even when you're tired or losing? These are the things that define a person's long-term impact, not just their resume. Also, something I try to live by, and I'd recommend to anyone, always stay curious. Be a student for life. The world is incredibly complex, and the more you learn, the more you realize how little you actually know. That's not discouraging, it's exciting. I still get excited when I learn something new about AI or physics or biology or economics. Like I spend hours reading papers, watching lectures, asking experts questions. It keeps my mind sharp and my perspective open. The second you think you know it all, you stop growing. And if you stop growing, you're falling behind. I think people underestimate what they're capable of because they never really test their limits. Most people live far below their potential. They settle because it's comfortable or because society tells them this is enough. But I don't think comfort is the goal. I think challenges. I think doing hard things, things that scare you or seem just out of reach, that's what makes life meaningful. So whether it's building a company, learning a new language, fixing a broken relationship, or just waking up earlier, challenge yourself. Push past the resistance. That's where the growth happens. You know, when I look back at the biggest inflection points in my life, they weren't when things were easy. They were when things were falling apart and I didn't quit. There was a moment when both Tesla and SpaceX were about to go bankrupt at the same time. I had to decide where to put my last remaining money. I put it into both. If either failed, I was done. But I believed in the mission, and that belief carried us through. Sometimes belief is all you have. You need that inner drive, that stubborn refusal to quit, especially when the world is telling you you're crazy. And yeah, maybe you're a little crazy. That's okay. All the best ideas start out that way. One more thing, have a sense of humor. Seriously. People think I'm all logic and no fun, but I joke around all the time. Memes, absurd ideas, launching a Tesla into space with a mannequin called Starman. Why not? Life is hard enough. Laugh when you can. Don't take yourself too seriously. Be weird. Be human. The world has enough robotic thinking already. So if you remember anything from what I'm saying, remember this. Think from first principles. Work really hard on things that matter. Be useful. Stay curious. Don't fear failure. Surround yourself with honest people. Take risks while you still can. Believe in the future. And laugh a little along the way. That's how I try to live. It's not perfect. It's not easy. But it's real. And if more people lived with that kind of mindset, I honestly believe the world would be a much more exciting place.